Welcome back Twitch, welcome back YouTube. Let's get back to just another game, Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc. And where are we going? Where is Kyoko taking us? Let's find out right now. Back to the scene of the crime.
The girls' locker room?
We've already searched this place top to bottom! What are you trying to pull, Missy?
I'd like you to examine the victim's body one more time.
You want to check it again?
Be sure to examine the entire body very carefully. Take your time.
Examine her carefully? Like using our hands? No way, no way, no way, no way, no way!
It's probably best if I don't run my hands all over a girl's dead body.
It's not that I'm creeped out or anything, it's just based on religious grounds, you know?
Very well, I'll do it.
But you're a girl. You shouldn't have to touch a dead body. Just let one of the boys do it.
No, it's okay. I think Chihiro would rather have a girl examine her. So just leave this to me.
Sakura. What is this? Some kind of secret girl-on-girl action? Is that what you two are about? That's not it at all. Stop screwing around.
Okay, here I go. I'm sorry, Chihiro. Please excuse the intrusion.
Putting her hands together in a brief prayer, Sakura then began to quietly examine her body.
Be sure to check her entire body, and I believe we will solve this particular mystery.
Her entire body? I know you say that, but... What? This is... What is this...
She went Super Saiyan!
What is it? Not possible. It's not possible.
Sakura's eyes were staring wildly at Chihiro's lifeless form. Her massive frame trembled.
This girl is
what?
Is a boy!
Her power level is over 9,000! Yes. Chihiro was a boy.
Ah, I see. So she was actually a he. Interesting. Thank you for confirming this fact.
What?
You're joking, right?
I wouldn't joke about this.
Then it's really true? Chihiro was a guy?
You have no idea how hard I was trying not to respond to somebody who actually spoiled it a little bit. Someone mentioned that I gave him a rose, remember? I'm like, if I purged that, it's gonna confirm it. And then they immediately corrected themselves and said her. So I'm like, maybe that'll fly.
Oh, what? You guys didn't know? Heck, I knew that right off the bat. Chihiro Fujisaki was totally a guy.
He was a cross-dresser? Oh, I'm really on fire! I wish I had killed him!
So that's what Kyoko wanted to show everyone, huh? Interesting. Yes, that certainly does make things much more exciting. Now let's ride this wave of excitement back to the courtroom and get back to the trial.
Surf's up!
Ahem. I do apologize for keeping you waiting. Now then, let's resume the class trial. We've all just learned of the shocking revelation that Chihiro was actually a boy. Let's pick up from there.
Yes, well, I don't know his reason for hiding it, but the fact is, Chihiro was not a girl, but a boy.
To think that Chihiro was actually a guy. The thought had never even crossed my mind. I'm not sure if I'm remembering this correctly, but I think Chihiro is actually a gender ambiguous name for the Japanese. I think it can be either a boy or a girl.
And because the victim was male, he would have had no problem gaining access to the boys' locker room.
Assuming his handbook did, in fact, list his gender as male, then yes, that would be true.
Of course his handbook said he was a boy. He dressed like a girl, but he was a boy through and through.
So then, there should be no issue with Makoto's initial assertion. The victim was killed in the boys' locker room, and was then later moved to the girls' locker room.
And since Byakuya didn't know that, then Byakuya didn't kill him.
And the killer could have easily used Sayaka or Junko's handbook to get into the girls' locker room.
So Chihiro really was killed in the boys' locker room?
I still don't understand the motive for moving the body, but yes, that does seem plausible.
Well, I must admit, I did find it rather odd. I knew he felt a little off. There was a certain incongruity to his female body.
This is the most titillating situation!
So now everything has been connected. All the mysteries have finally become clear.
No.
Okay, well, connected or clear or whatever. We still think you're the killer, remember?
Very interesting. This has become very interesting indeed.
He's off in his own little world.
What about you, Makoto? After everything we've learned, do you still think Byakuya's the killer?
Obviously not.
Well, without a doubt, Byakuya is the one that made Chihiro's death look like Genocide Jack did it. But I think he might not actually be the killer after all.
What? But aren't you the one who accused him in the first place?
No, I said he knew how to string up the body.
He just seems to be too easygoing about all this. Like he's enjoying us solving the mystery. The way he's acting, it makes it seem like it doesn't have anything to do with him.
And you think that might be because it doesn't have anything to do with him?
Plus, the evidence he left behind was a little too... how can I put it? Overt. He consciously chose to use the extension cord, knowing it could connect him to the murder. At least, that's how I see it. And Byakuya, when you found out the murder took place in the boys' locker room, it seemed to rattle you. And then again, when you found out Chihiro was actually a guy.
Did we actually see Byakuya's reaction?
If you really were the killer, that stuff wouldn't have had any effect on you.
So that's your thinking, huh? Well, it bothers me that you don't have more concrete reasons, but it's fine. I guess I'll mark it as correct for the time being.
Mark it as correct?
He's right. I am not the culprit.
So, Genocide Jill's not the culprit, Byakuya's not the culprit. Who is?
I just happened to come across the corpse in the girls' locker room and decided to alter it.
Are you fucking with us right now?
No, I am not effing with you right now. I'm telling you the truth.
Well, I find it very hard to believe.
Yeah, well, you're an idiot.
Go ahead, find it very hard to believe. You're free to be executed along with the rest of us.
Jill would have done it if she knew, yeah, but she didn't know.
If you're really telling the truth, then why? Why do you do that to his body?
My reasons hardly matter right now. Uncovering the culprit is much more important, wouldn't you say?
Well, yeah, now we know it had to be a dude. And honestly, it had to be a dude the entire time. How many of those girls besides Sakura could have hit him with a dumbbell like that hard enough to kill him? And do you really think Sakura would have done it?
Now then, if it wasn't me, who was it?
Well, I don't think I can say for sure without talking about it a little more.
I will say this for you guys to speculate over. No, actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna let it wait.
You're seriously gonna keep going? We're all good, aren't we? I thought it was clear Byakuya did it.
No, I'm with Makoto. If there's any doubt whatsoever, we need to explore every possibility. Because if we're wrong, we all die here.
That's true. Very well then. I'm with you too.
Damn straight. Count me in.
Do you not have a mind of your own?
Clearly you don't.
Of course I do. What am I, an ant or something?
Anyway, let's discuss this all as a group one more time. We still have time to make our decision.
That's very true.
Our lives are all on the line.
Hina is too cute for this world.
Excellent. Then shall we resume our game of hide and seek?
But if Byakuya didn't do it, then who's the real killer? Who murdered Chihiro? There's one thing we can be sure that we know about the killer. The killer was able to gain access to the real murder scene, which means, well, obviously the killer is a guy. Because, let's just go ahead and talk this out a little bit. Leon's handbook is broken. The only ones that were working were the girls' handbooks, so clearly the killer had to use his own. So he has to be a guy.
I got it!
Since the crime scene was in the boys' locker room, you would need a boys' handbook to get in. Since Leon's handbook is apparently broken, the killer would have had to use their own. In other words, it had to have been a guy. But that's still not enough. I need to find some more clues. Make your argument. Celeste's account.
Isn't there a single clue that might lead us to who did it?
Well, clues are one thing, but did nobody get a look at the killer?
I'm sure if someone saw the killer, they would have said something by now.
Perhaps someone saw the victim at some point. Even that might be enough for now.
Yeah. All we need right now is any kind of new info.
How about Celeste's account? Nope. Come on, Makoto, don't scare me like that. Makes me think something weird is going on.
Shoot!
Alright, I lost a heart there.
Isn't there a single clue that might, well, clues are, did nobody get a look?
I'm sure if someone saw the killer, they...
Perhaps someone saw the victim at some point.
Yeah. All we need right now is any kind of new info.
It's over. It's all... You want to know who saw the victim? The killer.
Oh, there we go.
The killer.
No, that's wrong!
Did a little bit too early. Got the Phoenix Wright
I
problem.
believe someone else did see the victim before he was murdered. What do you think, Celeste?
Now that you mention it, yes. I did see him.
Huh? Really?
Oh, but I suppose only Makoto knows about this. The rest of you had no idea, did you? That is why you're all making such ugly noises.
Whatever! Just hurry up and tell us!
It was last night, right before nighttime. I saw Chihiro in the dormitory warehouse. I saw him stuffing a track jacket into a duffel bag. And then, I assume, he headed off to exercise.
A track jacket and a duffel bag? But we didn't find anything like that at the murder scene.
It seems likely that the culprit destroyed them to get rid of any evidence.
And that is when he said something that struck me as rather odd.
Well, I better get going. I'm kind of in a hurry.
Chihiro told me he was in a hurry. But why would he be in a hurry? Only if someone were waiting for him, I should think.
So, Mr. Fujisaki was on his way to meet with someone, and then they were going to work out together?
But Hina and I had invited him to exercise with us plenty of times, and he always declined.
I mean, obviously he couldn't go into the girls' locker room.
Probably because he was afraid you'd find out the secret he was hiding, right?
Which means that conversely, he must have trusted whoever he was meeting with very much. Enough so that he was willing to risk his secret being revealed. Oh, what a marvelous friendship! The point is, whoever he met up with is the culprit, right? So we just gotta figure out who it was.
But knowing what we know, I can't even guess.
Well, knowing what I know, I can.
No. You already have what you need to make the connection.
Huh?
You know who the killer is.
Seriously? Who is it? Who's the killer?
Think back to the track jacket and duffel bag the killer disposed of. Focus on the details of these items, and it should become obvious who was waiting for him.
Are you sure about that? You really think we can figure out who did it based on 2 pieces of evidence that we don't have?
What? You want to track down some fingerprints or something?
Even if we had the equipment for that, we wouldn't know how to use it.
It's not hard to track down fingerprints, you just have to be careful.
As was noted, the evidence is already gone. There's nothing to get fingerprints from.
Maybe, but we can make certain inferences if we just take the time to talk it out.
Easy for you to say. But fine. Celeste, did you notice anything special about the bag or jacket? The bag was just a normal duffel bag from the warehouse. All the bags in there are the same, so I can't imagine what would make that one special.
Well, if I remember right, there was a decent variety of tracksuits to choose from. Do you think there might be some connection between the culprit and Chihiro's jacket?
Perhaps. Let's explore that and talk a bit more about the jacket he took.
Does Chihiro's track jacket really hold some clue about the killer? Somehow, it's really hard to believe. Time to make our argument. Celeste's account is our bullet. I'm not sure we're going to be able to use that.
First of all, we know where Chihiro was headed. He was on his way to go exercise. So next we have to ask, why did he choose the specific tracksuit that he did?
What do you mean, the specific tracksuit?
I got it! He picked that tracksuit because it matched the one the culprit was wearing.
And we don't know who that is.
So, what you're saying is, the killer was wearing the same blue tracksuit as him? My tracksuit is black.
I don't even have a tracksuit. 'Cause exercising sucks.
I have a white tracksuit personally. I got it from the warehouse, if you must know.
Did any of that really help us get any closer to figuring out who the culprit is?
Actually,
No way. Not a chance.
it did.
You heard him, right? What he just said without even realizing it?
Sure did. She's right. What he said just now is really odd. How did he know something like that?
First of all, we know where
Chihiro, he was on his way, so next week, why did he choose?
What do you mean, the specific tracksuit?
I got it! He picked it matched the one the culprit was wearing.
Well, that's not odd. It's
So,
just
what you're
stupid.
saying is, the killer was wearing the same blue tracksuit as him?
How do you know about that?
No, that's wrong. Hold on a second, Mondo. What did you just say?
Huh? What'd I say?
When Celeste testified a few minutes ago, she said,
I saw him stuffing a track jacket into a duffel bag. And then, I assumed, he headed off to exercise.
she never said anything about the jacket's color. So why did you say Chihiro's blue tracksuit?
What are you? You just...
Uh-oh!
Hey, Celeste, what color was Chihiro's tracksuit?
As a matter of fact, it was blue.
And before we began the trial, did you tell anyone that?
The only one I told about any of this was you.
Ah, damn.
Then, Mondo, how did you know what color Chihiro's tracksuit was?
I have a better question for Mondo that I want to bring up, but I'm not sure when it's going to actually happen.
Because I'm
sure he saw the clothes at some point in the investigation.
No?
No, that can't be it. The bag and clothes were surely disposed of by the time we began our investigation.
Then the only reason he could have known what color the tracksuit was is if he saw Cherry with it before he died! That's the only possibility! Cherry? Are you talking about Chihiro? So, how about it? Did you see the tracksuit or didn't you?
That's a flexible tongue.
just by chance. I just happened to see it last night. He walked past me, and he was carrying the tracksuit in his hands.
Well, that's wrong.
No, that can't be it either. According to Celeste's testimony,
she stuffed the jacket into her bag in a hurry. It was almost like she was trying to hide it. And just like that, she was gone.
when Celeste noticed it, Chihiro made a point of making sure the jacket was completely in the bag. If you just ran into him briefly, you couldn't possibly have seen what color the tracksuit was.
It would appear you've dug your own grave.
Perhaps. But you handed him the shovel, didn't you? That's why you said what you did. Focus on the tracksuit and it'll be obvious who he met with? What a bunch of nonsense.
Ah, now I understand. It was all one big bluff, wasn't it? Your true intention was to draw a slip of the tongue from the culprit.
Well, I'm just gonna say this. Mondo already had a slip of the tongue. I'm less interested in how he knew the tracksuit was blue and than I am how he knew Chihiro was a guy. He knew before everybody else.
That's why you said you knew who did it, to put them on edge.
That's right. However, Mondo was my target all along. I had my suspicions about him from the very beginning.
But why? What made you so suspicious?
That's a good question.
The way he talked, the way he was acting, because I hate him. It's the way he talked, I believe.
There was a certain turning point that tipped me off. Maybe you didn't notice it, Mondo, but you tend to refer to men and women differently. You only call guys dude. For girls, it's chick. And after he was killed, you happen to refer to him as dude.
I was gonna bring this up. I was gonna point out that somebody already knew what sex Chihiro was, and then I remembered I actually talked to him today, so that's gonna be fresh in everybody's mind, and I didn't want to ruin it. I wonder how many people noticed the first time.
Once I picked up on that, it occurred to me that Mondo knew something we didn't.
You noticed such a tiny detail?
Honestly, I didn't notice the first time I played this game. I only noticed now because I was looking for it.
Are you a witch? She's a witch! You're positively frightful!
No, I'm not the frightful one. Not nearly as frightful as someone capable of murdering a friend.
Mondo, was it really you? Did you really kill Chihiro?
I didn't kill anyone! You've been all over me, judging everything I say, putting words in my mouth. What gives you the right to treat me like a goddamn criminal?
I mean, you are a gang leader, you are a goddamn criminal.
Yeah! He would never do something like that! This is a false accusation!
Thought it was interesting that he called him dude, yeah. And it's one of those things that's so subtle because we're used to it. We're used to referring to calling, at least in slang, calling men and women dude, because nobody has used the word dudette since like the 80s. That it's something that can easily slip by when people aren't reading closely enough, but it is something that Mondo does not do.
It's true. My reasoning on that is pretty shaky.
That was fast.
Yeah, my dudes.
Well, this does present us with a problem. It seems we are all out of leads.
My time has nearly come.
That's what my little ghost friend is telling me.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. Hifumi, weren't you telling me you'd found some evidence?
Really? What kind of evidence?
Actually, you know, now that I'm thinking about it here calmly, it might not be all that relevant.
Jeez, did your confidence just get up and walk away? It's fine, man. Just tell us.
You know, it's gonna be kind of amazing when Hifumi is more useful than you are, Hiro.
If you really insist, then... here it is.
What do you have there?
It happens to be an e-handbook. I found it laying on the ground, so I scooped it up.
You found it on the ground, right? Then it must belong to... Well, as far as we know, it's Chihiro's. It's the only one that's missing.
I got it! We know Chihiro's handbook was missing from the scene of the crime, right?
For a fact.
For a fact indeed.
So why do you have it?
I was totally sure I'd found it.
Then it must hold some clue about the culprit, right?
Well, that's what I was hoping. But it's busted. It won't even turn on.
I imagine the culprit broke it to get rid of any evidence after the murder.
That's odd. I didn't think the handbooks were quite so fragile.
You're right. They're not. They're totally waterproof and shock resistant. It would take an awful lot to break one.
The more he talks about these, the more I want one from, like, a phone. These are, like, fucking amazing things.
And yet, this one does appear to be broken, as is Leon's, sitting useless in the main hall. For all your confidence, that is a remarkably high failure rate.
Do you think there might be some kind of mystery in there somewhere? How precisely did the handbooks get broken?
Nokia. How did the handbook break? There's only one possible explanation. By exploiting a bug, by hacking it, well, no. By hacking its weak, or hitting its weak point.
I got it! You already told us before that the handbook has one weak point, didn't you?
You remember that? Sure, maybe I let that slip, but I never told anyone what the weak point actually
Hitting its
was.
weak point for massive damage.
But if the handbook is supposed to never break, and two of them broke in quick succession,
I still like
then...
KT's suggestion from the live stream. It's just out of charge. It just hadn't been charged in a while.
Then we can only assume that someone's figured out its weakness. You know what the weakness is, right, Monokuma? So, what is it?
You're asking me?
I think it's a necessary piece of information if you want this to be a fair trial.
But if I tell you, and someone else decides to copy it, that would be very not good.
Just tell us already! Why would we want to break our own handbooks?
Oh well, I have a weakness for pushy demands. But you're sure you won't follow their example?
Well, before he tells us... I think I'm gonna go take a break. And while I'm on break... Chat, why don't you speculate a little bit? You know it's not crushing damage, electrical damage, and they're waterproof. What else could damage it? Think on that. I'll see you guys in 5 minutes. YouTube, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw. And you guys have a great day. Twitch, I'll see you in 5 minutes. Bye-bye.